3, 2, 1. Welcome everyone to the Protective and Social Services Committee meeting being held here March 1st. And the attendees on this committee are Mayor Clayton, Councillor Thiessen, Councillor Bressie, and myself, Kevin O'Toole. We are going to start off with the call to order, this first item. And the next item on the agenda is the appeal hearing, 2.1, Mr. Lindsay Arsenault, a vicious dog. And with that, I'm going to ask Ms. Valerie Norris-Kirk to start the hearing.
Good morning, and thank you, Councillor O'Toole. My name is Valerie Norris-Kirk, and I'm going to be the secretary to the appeal hearing this morning. I'd like to first very quickly introduce the folks at the table. So we have Charlene Gallant with the Enforcement Services Department. She'll be the primary presenter from the city's perspective. Beside her is Constable Yeager. Constable Yeager was the author or the investigator in the incident. And lastly, at the end, we have Mr. Craig Nault. He was a witness that provided a statement to Enforcement Services. And joining us on Zoom, we have Mr. Brian Livingston. He's representing the appellant, Ms. Lindsay Arsenault. On that note, we need to start off the meeting with appointing a chair to the hearing.
Councillor O'Toole, I'd make a motion to appoint Councillor O'Toole as the chair of this meeting.
Thank you.
Everyone in favor? All good? Perfect. Thank you. On that note, I will turn it over to Mr. O'Toole.
All right. Is there any opposition to any of the board members here? See no one sticking their hand up, so thank you.
Done.
We will start off with item 5 in the call to order situation here, and that is Chief Bylaw Enforcement Officer Ms. Charlene Gallant to address the board. Yeah, bring it right up close. Sing like no one's listening to you.
Nobody wants that, Chair. Thank you, everybody.
You're going to have to bring it closer to your mouth. Sorry.
Does that work?
That's working good.
Very good. So the reason for our appearance here today is for the Vicious Dog Declaration appeal. And what I would like to do to start off, if I'm correct in the procedure here, is to provide you with a little bit of background in relation to our decision made for the Vicious Dog Declaration. On the 9th of December, 2021, at 7:52 p.m., City Enforcement Officer Yeager received a call from victim Craig Nault about a vicious dog attack that had taken place a few hours prior. The victim told Yeager that approximately 4:45 p.m., while walking his dog in a city park, a shiny gray pit bull ran across the street to attack his dog Charlie. This dog grabbed Charlie by the jaw, resulting in Charlie's jaw being broken. The victim said that he fought the dog off Charlie. At this time, the person walking the pit bull came up to him and took control of his dog. Craig was currently with his dog at the vet and advised Yeager that upon recommendation from their vet, they would be driving down to Edmonton in the morning to provide Charlie with specialized care that would be best for recovering from the attack. In the vet's notes, he says Charlie had a fractured part of the lower jaw, had puncture wounds, and bleeding from the mouth because of this attack. When Officer Yeager arrived at the scene of the attack, he found signs of a struggle, including multiple dog footprints in the snow, as well as Charlie's blood littering the attack scene. Later that same evening, when Officer Yeager attended the location of the alleged residence of the attacking dog, Yeager found out at the time of the attack the person in care and control of the pit bull willfully provided the victim with false information regarding his residence, and at that time he had refused to provide any further information to the victim at that time. Officer Yeager decided to create what we call a BOLO. In other words, be on the lookout for to our available officers with Grande Prairie Enforcement Services. The descriptors provided were where the dog frequents, and this is a request that was done and created in hope that an officer would come across the dog and the owner to identify them and proceed with the investigation. A few days later, while following up with the victim, Officer Yeager discussed the issue of not knowing where the attacking dog resided or who it belonged to at this time. The victim told Officer Yeager, as did an independent witness on the day of the attack, that the owner frequents this area and that the dog had been seen previously by both the victim and the witness in the past months. It should be noted that our witnesses was a person not known to the victim, and he was just simply driving home from work and passed by at the time of the attack. Our victim and witness both recognized the dog from multiple previous encounters in the neighborhood and knew that it was indeed the same dog. Officer Yeager advised the victim we had time to identify the attacker and would do so the next time they were seen in the neighborhood. Yeager gave the victim his number and told him to call if he ever seen the attacking dog again. Officer Yeager also advised the victim that himself and other officers would continue to patrol the area frequently in the upcoming weeks in order to try to find and identify the attacking dog. In the following weeks, Yeager and multiple other officers attended the area regularly, trying to find this dog that frequents this area. They did multiple searches through our animal licensing database, searching for any dog with similar descriptors in the area. Any possible lead was followed up with, including multiple dogs with similar description, but due to our witness statements of specific attributes such as color, size, and location of the dog, they were all ruled out. On December 18th, 2021, Officer Yeager received a call from the victim telling him that he had spotted the dog who was currently being walked by one of the owners. The victim was able to advise Yeager of the address that they returned to after the walk. Officer Yeager contacted the dog's registered owner, Lindsay Arsenault, at her residence minutes after the call. Later, Officer Yeager questioned the victim as asking how he could be so sure that this was the same dog that viciously attacked Charlie. All of the specific descriptors were a match, such as the shiny gray coat originally described, the type and size of the dog, as well as the white area on his chest that the witness identified. Officer Yeager asked if it was possible that this was just a similar-looking dog, and it was being walked by a different person that day. The victim told Officer Yeager that the most telling thing for him was that the dog had the same red leash, which was frayed at the end. The physical evidence, as well as the victim's statement identifying the dog and its residents, made it clear and confirmed that we had identified the right dog, namely Charlie. Multiple other parts of the puzzle started to come together when Officer Yeager spoke with and interviewed the dog's registered owner, as well as her partner. From this investigation, Officer Yeager believes, and I believe without a doubt, that we can be sure that on December 9th, at approximately 4:45 p.m., Charger was being walked by an individual who did not restrain Charger, who allowed him to run free, which resulted in a vicious attack in a city park. This attack injured Charlie, who was being walked by her owner responsibly in accordance with the bylaws set out by the city. Other notable pieces of this puzzle, which Officer Yeager believes further identifies Charlie as the dog that committed this vicious attack, are as follows. In our recorded interview with Arsenault's partner, Matthew O'Hanley, he told us that he had been living at the residence for about 5 to 6 months at the time of the attack. Yeager later questioned both the witness and the victim regarding the attack, and they had both seen this dog walking in the same area previously. The witness told Yeager that he first remembers seeing this dog in the summer of 2021. The victim stated that he had seen the dog probably 3 times prior to in the last few months. The timelines these persons provided coincide with the approximate time that Charger moved into this neighborhood. Contrary to the appeal document 3, in his statement, after looking at a map of the area, O'Hanley confirmed that they often walk their dog in the area that the attack took place. Again, contrary to the appeal document 4, when interviewing O'Hanley, we asked if he knew any other dogs that looked similar to Charger. O'Hanley stated, "I wish I did, but I don't. Yeager also asked if this dog's owner, Yeager also asked this of the dog's owner, Lindsay, during this investigation, but nothing was ever said indicating that they knew of a similar dog to Charger in the area. So neither our victim or our witness, Arsenault or O'Hanley himself, believed that there was another dog in the area that could have been mistaken for Charger. Grande Prairie Enforcement Service believed that based on our evidence and the statement of the victim, who had previously seen this dog on multiple occasions prior to this attack, on the day of the attack, and then again after attack, we were able to confidently identify Charger as the dog that attacked Charlie. Due to this, it is important for the safety of the community in West Point, as well as all Grande Prairie, that the vicious dog declaration be upheld, so no other person, animal, or child will be hurt by the dog. I've also cut and copied from our bylaw legislation related to the definition of an owner, declaration for appeals and regulations. I'm not confident if you would, Chair, like me to read those in, or if you're familiar with them.
No, if you would like to read them for the board, that would be great, so they have more information. Thank you.
Very good. The applicable legislation relative to this appeal is as follows. Definition section 1.25. Owner means a person who has the care, custody, possession, or control of an animal. B, who owns or claims any propriety interest in an animal. C, who harbors or permits an animal to be present on any property owned, occupied, or leased by him, or which is otherwise under his control. D, who claims and receives an animal from custody of the animal shelter or bylaw enforcement officer. E, to whom an animal license was issued for an animal in accordance with this bylaw. In relation to vicious animals, declaration and appeals, 6.1. If a bylaw enforcement officer believes on reasonable and probable grounds that an animal has been attacked or bitten a person or other animal by the bylaw enforcement officer, may seize and impound the animal. 6.2. Upon receipt of a recommendation pursuant to 6.1, the chief bylaw enforcement officer may declare the animal to be a vicious animal. 6.3. If the chief bylaw enforcement officer has declared an animal to be a vicious animal, written notification of the declaration shall be provided to the animal's owner. 6.4. A person who receives a declaration pursuant to 6.3 may appeal the declaration by giving written notice of the appeal and the reasons therefore to the city within 10 calendar days of receiving the declaration. In relation to the regulations, 6.9. An owner of a vicious animal shall within 10 days after the animal has been declared vicious and prior to a license being issued, A, have a veterinarian tattoo or implant an electronic identification microchip in the animal if the animal has not had this done. B, provide the information contained on the tattoo or in the microchip to the chief bylaw enforcement officer. And C, have the animal neutered or spayed. If the animal is in unaltered state, provided the animal is of its appropriate age. 6.10. The owner of a vicious animal shall, A, notify the chief bylaw officer within 5 business days when the animal is sold, gifted, or transferred, and B, remain liable for the actions of the animal until formal notification of sale, gift, or transfer is provided to the chief bylaw enforcement officer. 6.11. The owner of a vicious animal shall ensure the animal does not A, chase, injure, bite, attack, or otherwise threaten a person or other animals. B, damage or destroy property. Or C, run at large. The owner of a vicious animal shall immediately notify a bylaw enforcement officer if the animal is running at large. 6.13. The owner of a vicious animal shall ensure when the animal is on the owner's property or permitted property the animal is A, confined indoors under the control of a person 16 years of age or older. B, is locked in a pen or other structure when outdoors constructed pursuant to section 6.14 in order to prevent the escape of the vicious animal and to prevent entry of any person not in control of the animal. Or C, securely muzzled under the control of a person 16 years of age or older by means of a leash. The owner of a vicious animal shall ensure that a locked pen or other structure to be used to secure the vicious animal when outdoors conforms to the following standard. A, have secure sides and a secure top, and if it has no bottom, secure the sides. The sides shall be embedded in the ground to a minimum depth of 30 centimeters. B, provide the vicious animals with shelter from the elements. C, be of the minimum dimensions of 1.5 meters by 3 meters, and be a minimum of 1.5 meters in height. And D, be situated more than 1 meter of any property line or more than 5 meters of neighboring dwelling unit. 6.15, the owner of a vicious animal shall, within 10 days of the date of declaration, display a sign on the owner's property warning of the presence of the vicious animal in the form of an approved sign by the Chief Bylaw Enforcement Officer. 6.16, a sign shall be placed at each entrance to the owner's property when the vicious animal is kept on locked pen or structure in which the vicious animal is confined, and shall be posted to be clearly visible and capable of being seen by any person accessing the property. 6.17, a vicious animal is not permitted in an off-leash area.
All right. Thank you very much. Was there anything else that you wanted to say at this time? Because I'm going to open it up to questions after the...
At this point, Chair, I believe I'll save my summary and conclusions till the end if that's appropriate for you.
Thank you. So I've got members of the board, and I'm opening up to for them to ask you questions. So go ahead, Mr. Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Chairman O'Toole. Thanks for the presentation, Ms. Gallant. Just a couple questions in regards to our bylaw. Let's say we were to uphold the decision of bylaw and deny the appeal here today. What would happen upon a second event of this dog? Would it be euthanized, take it away from its owner? What's the next steps at that point?
If a dog is to be euthanized, it would have to be through the court. A court order would have to be ordered for the euthanization of any animal. So that would be up to an appeal that we would make.
Okay. And then my second question is in regards to the signage, the last 2 points that you made about a vicious dog on the presence. I've never personally seen a vicious dog sign. I see a lot of beware of dog signs. Would that be appropriate if signage for this instance if the appeal were to be upheld?
A beware of dog sign, is that what you're asking, Councillor? Traditionally, I apologize, I would have to check on that. I don't know the answer to that, but I will certainly take a look at other ones. This is the first one I've done, but can I get back to you on that?
Actually, I saw Director Manuel sort of there, so maybe we can do a little teamwork here.
Certainly, I can answer both of those questions there, in that fortunately I was in that role prior to this one. So in regard to what would happen with the animal, although a court would dictate whether an animal had to be euthanized, certainly we have had instances where an animal has to be removed from the city, as in it can't achieve licensing. So there have been a couple instances of that over the last decade. Additionally, the specific sign is actually found in the back of the bylaw. There's a very specific vicious dog sign standard, and it specifies the size and locations it has to be posted. And that's a consistent sign across the province used by the majority of urban municipalities.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, no, I'd never seen a sign like that, so I'll double check the bylaw so I know what I'm looking for next time. Thank you.
Councillor Bressy.
Great, thank you. Something I'm curious about is in the statement from the applicant, we saw a mention of Charger having a pronounced limp. Is that something that's been observed in Charger, and was that limp something that was mentioned by any of the witnesses at any time?
The first time that I seen that, the indication of a limp was in the response from Mr. Livingston. It had never been mentioned to me prior to, and that was my first knowledge thereof.
And has Charger been directly observed or met by any of our bylaw officers? Have any of them had an opportunity to see whether or not he walks with a limp?
I have gone to the house and seen Charger. He was just moving around the front of the house. There was no limp observed by me at that time, but I also wasn't looking specifically for it.
Excellent. Thank you.
Mr. Laners? Councillor Laners?
Well, I'm curious. So has Charlie recovered?
Thank you. Yes, Charlie is recovering now. She's still 2 weeks away from being able to chew on anything hard, but yeah.
Okay, well, that's good to hear. How many vicious dogs would we have? I mean, on like officially vicious dogs would we have on in Grande Prairie? Would, or Spencer be the first, or Charger be the first one?
I would say throughout the course of a year, we have anywhere between 2 and 3 vicious dog declarations. These are attacks that are that cause detriment, obviously, to either an individual or another animal. Very seldom do we go out and declare a dog vicious. Usually, we start off with ticketing, propensity to bite letters, etc. But to go to the extreme of a vicious dog declaration, I would say on average, we do maybe 2, 3 a year.
Reach out to our board members. Was there any other questions at this point for this questioning period?
Thank you very much, Chair O'Toole. Just a quick question in regards to any events that might have happened after the dog attack on Charlie. Have there been any other incidents or I guess maybe complaints about Charger running around the neighborhood or any other attacks since then?
No, we haven't received any other concerns in relation to Charger that I'm aware of, and I'm sure I would be.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I see no other questions. Thank you for presenting. I am now going to ask the appellant, and that would be Mr. Brian Livingston, representing Ms. Arsenal, to turn your mic on and present your facts and case, whatever that you need to
Yes,
present.
good morning. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. In the original statement that Mr. Nault provided, he did state the leash was pinkish in color. And then 9 days later, once they had actually seen my client walking their dog, it became a red leash and the leash was frayed. We have provided a picture of both the harness and the leash, which shows that the leash is red but is not frayed. Pink and frayed is not red, and the leash is in good shape. There is also no mention of Charger being on a harness, and that is the only way that Charger is walked. The picture that we did supply to you was actually taken on January 7th. This was something that I thought could become an issue. I wanted to know what was unique of Charger, that we would be able to identify him, as my clients from the very beginning have said that this was not their dog and that their dog was not involved in this at all. It should have been readily apparent on the day of the attack, and there was no mention made of red until after my client, Mr. Nault, saw the dog 9 days later. Pit bulls, it's very common to have a patch on their chest. I've known 3 pit bulls personally without their life that all had patches on their chest. So do many other breeds. You could search Google for pit bulls and you'll see tons of patches. In Mr. Nault's statement and supplementary statement, there's no mention of a shiny coat. So I don't know where that came from, but it is not in either statement. So I don't know where it came from, but if it was important enough to be mentioned, in the city's presentation, then somewhere it should have been in Mr. Nault's statement. We can tell you that Charger walks with a very pronounced limp due to a hip injury to his right rear leg 3 years ago, and can only really use 3 legs. What I would like to do, and I have provided Miss Valerie Norris-Kirk with the video, but I'm going to try and share the video here. I apologize if this doesn't work, as I am not a Zoom expert, but I am going to give this a try. I apologize, it doesn't look like it's going to work for me. It's asking me to change my settings. So it's not allowing me, but has anyone had the opportunity to see the video?
Doesn't seem like the board members have seen it, no.
Okay, Ms. Norris-Kirk, is it possible for you to show it? Because I cannot get the video to show at my end. My system is not allowing me to access my photos.
ARIT is working on it right now.
Because as I do know that Ms. Norris-Kirk has seen the video, and she can tell you that there is indeed a very, very noticeable limp on Charger, and this has actually been around for several years, is my understanding. While we're getting that video put up, in regards to my clients were told the area of which this first took place. Once we actually got the statement from the city on February 24th, my client actually had to go out and walk her route to see where the actual streets were where this attack took place. And my client, once walking the route, realized that their dog does walk by that area where the attack does take place. We can also state that the statement made by Mr. O'Hanley is that he was not aware of a similar dog is true, and that is consistent with what I have been told. The statement which we have included, which is included in the package that you do have, states that it was made by a friend of Lindsay Arsenal and not Mr. O'Hanley. The fact that Arsenal did not bring this up when asked does not mean that it is not a truthful statement. And quite frankly, Officer Yeager should not be speaking to my client's belief, as he's obviously wrong. He should be speaking to facts. I'm just looking for the statement here in my notes. Ms. McLeod is the one who made the statement and states that on November 22nd, she saw a similar looking dog, but was slightly shorter and broader, I believe is what the statement says, and shorter and a wider stance, but looked very similar to Charger. She is prepared to testify to this and will so in court once this goes to trial. So the statement by the city that there is no other dog in that area is not true. The next point I'd like to bring out is that my client has no Aboriginal friends. She has one female Aboriginal friend, but that is definitely not a 40-year-old male Aboriginal. As you can see, Mr. Hanley is also beside Ms. Arsenal this morning. He is also not Aboriginal. Mr. Hanley was also on his way to work, had left about 45 minutes prior that day. His boss is willing to and will testify to that at trial if it is necessary. So Mr. O'Hanley was already out of town by 45 minutes. There is no mystery Aboriginal male that came and took Miss Arsenal's dog for a walk that day. They have no idea who this person is, and nobody has been able to put Miss Arsenal's dog and this Aboriginal man and Ms. Arsenal together because they don't know who this person is. And this is all coming from Mr. Nault's own statement. I believe that's important to note. I would also like to note that Charger has one single toy which stays in the house. It is pyramid shaped and made of a very, very strong rubber so that he cannot chew through it. It's specifically designed so that you can put treats into it so that Charger can then go into the toy and get the treats out. Several years ago, Charger chewed through a toy and ended up needing to go to a vet to have the plastic removed from the rear end. The vet statement has been provided. Since this actually occurred, he's only been allowed the one treat toy. He does not have a ball that he walks with. He does not have a ball that he plays with, and he's never been interested in playing fetch. In Mr. Nault's statement, he stated that there was a ball in the dog's mouth. So I've got to say that there's more inconsistencies than there are consistencies in regards to Officer Yeager saying the pieces started coming more together. Well, the pieces start falling more apart. If Mr. Nault was capable of seeing a ball in a mouth, a frayed pinkish leash, a shiny coat, a patch on the chest, then he should have been able to recognize the most obvious part of the dog, which is the very pronounced lip. The final thing I'd like to point out is that common sense would dictate that if I'm the owner of a dog that just attacked another dog, and then I gave a fake address, I wouldn't go out walking my dog in the same area 9 days later. I would get my dog in the car and take it somewhere else to avoid being seen. I don't just nonchalantly walk my dog down the street like nothing has happened unless my dog was not involved. At this point, I would like to save my closing statement as the city has done. Ms. Arsenault is available as to myself in regards to questions. Ms. Norris-Kirk, have you had the opportunity to get that video working?
Question is asked if the video is working or able to get on. Okay, still working on it. Gotta love technology.
Yep, I apologize. Let me see. I apologize. I'm going to go off screen for a minute. Let me see if I can get it to work this time. I'm going to see if I can change my settings. I apologize. I was trying to get my iPad to show the video and it would not work. So I got booted off. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, thank you.
We're just trying something else on this side.
Lindsay, is it by chance possible that you can show the video since you're the one that actually took it?
Okay, how do I do that?
Share video, go up into the top.
Okay. The share video, I don't know where that is.
Up at the very top, there's a share content, I believe, that you can click on.
I don't know. Video. Oh, I don't know.
Is the dog there?
Is Charger there?
He's just sleeping though. Like, hang on.
The video shows the dog walking. Is that correct? That's what you want to show us?
Yeah.
Could you take the dog for a quick walk around the room so we can see? And then we don't have to worry about the video.
Yeah, hang on.
Okay. Thank you for that suggestion.
I don't know if Chargy. Okay, hang on a second. Okay. He thinks we're gonna play.
That's fine. Just take him like he's going for a walk and show the right rear leg.
Yeah, hang on a second. Well,
He
he's been
can't-
sitting. She's been sitting the whole time, so it's not so bad right now.
Okay.
Hang on a second. Okay. Oh, start video. More.
You have a leash that you can sort of walk him around.
No, because then he'll think we're going outside, and he starts barking and getting all crazy because he thinks that we're going for like a W. He just gets excited. He just
Maybe focus on the dog. There we go.
oh, he's not. He thinks we're having a game. Yeah. I can't do it. Hang on a second. I can't get him to do it.
Okay, no problem.
Sorry.
Is this possible? Is my screen being shown right now?
I just see your camera's off, Mr. Livingston. There it is. It's on now.
Share content.
See, but you can't see the video.
Photos. Select all photos. Okay. Hang on a second. I think I have it. I don't know what the video is. Oh, here we go. Okay. I don't know how to do this. Okay. Okay, there we go.
Probably gonna work. We have a lady here that's got, looks like we got the video being able to play.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
I take it that we're going to share it as well. There we go.
Sorry, I got cut off.
Okay.
I think that was it.
Mr. Livingston, is there anything else that you wanted to say at this time? Your mic is off.
Sorry, I apologize. Can you hear me again?
Yes, we can hear you. Is there anything else that you'd
Thank you.
like to say?
Well, I would like to say that I fully understand the city's position in regards to being able to protect the citizens and also other pets from vicious animals. I totally understand the city's position. Unfortunately, the Charger was not the dog that was involved, and we also have to consider that Ms. Arsenault and Mr. O'Hanley are also citizens, and that Charger is also a pet that needs to be protected as well. You've heard all of the guidelines that has to be followed in regards to a vicious animal, and they're overly onerous both on the dog and financially on the owners. And to place this on two citizens that have done nothing wrong, just based on a possible hunch, is unfair to them. And I think you need to consider all citizens involved in regards to this. That's all I would like to say at this point. Thank you.
Okay, well, we have some questions for you from the board members, and
Thank you.
we will start off. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Livingston? Councillor Thiessen.
Just a question in regards to the condition of Charger currently right now, in regards to being spayed or neutered. As if this appeal were to be denied, that would be one of the conditions. Is Charger currently spayed or neutered?
Ms. Arsenault?
Yeah, he is neutered.
Okay, yeah, thank you. That's all I need.
Anybody else have questions? Okay, so there's no more questions, so I'm going to ask any of those present if they wish to speak in favor of the appeal. I'm going to ask 3 times. Is there anybody online or in the presence of this room that wishes
Ms.
to...
Arsenault? Is there anything you would like to say?
No, that's everything. Thank you.
Okay. And I'm going to say it one more time. Is there anyone on the Zoom line or in this room that wishes to speak in favor of the appeal? Go ahead. That you're included in this.
As the victim, you know, I just wanted to point out that it was a fairly cold day when I gave my statement. I was very clear saying that, you know, it was pretty traumatic after your dog is attacked. And knowing that now, I should have taken a picture of the owner or dog walker and the dog. I wasn't thinking very clearly. I just wanted to get my dog out of there, obviously tend to it. It was bleeding quite badly and trying to run away. So I asked the address, put it in my phone immediately. We were both wearing lots of winter clothing. The statement that I said, you know, a 40-year-old Aboriginal man, I honestly couldn't say whether it was an Aboriginal man or not. Indigenous, I'm sorry, but I just gave as best a statement as I could. I have been in this area for 12 years in this neighborhood. I've walked my dog since we've had it for 7-8 years now. And we are quite close-knit group in that area as far as dog walkers. We live near the cemetery. A lot of us do go and walk throughout the cemetery with our dogs. I've talked to 2 other people within the neighborhood that are aware of this pit bull and that are aware of it not being harnessed and walked properly with a leash. And they have pointed out exactly the same address that I brought to you today. So,
Thank you. So we'll move on. I'm going to now ask if there's anyone here that speaks in opposition to the appeal. Is that? Yep. I've got 2 more times I'm going to bring that up because that's the way we operate. Get everybody an opportunity to speak. So is there anybody here that wants to speak in opposition to the appeal, whether on Zoom or in this room? And the last and final time, is there anyone here that wishes to speak in opposition to the appeal? I have seen none. Then we'll adjourn the meeting and we will discuss this. Thank you for being here today, both on Zoom, and we will continue our discussions.
If I may ask, what is the next step at this point?
Mayor Clayton, go ahead.
Councillor O'Toole, just want to if you could let the room know that we'll go into a closed door discussion.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So just getting to that, Mr. Livingston, we're going to go into a closed door discussion. We will look with the facts that we have received, both from the appellant and the members of the enforcement services, and we will come up with our results and we'll get back to you in a probably 6 days, 7 days. And
Okay.
you'll have your answer then with a written statement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
You bet.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Sorry you had to go through this.
Councillor O'Toole, if I can just mention something. We are going to break at noon and continue at 1. So just for CLT that may have other staff coming forward, if you want to give them a heads up, we'll break at 12 and come back at 1 o'clock.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much for allowing us to have that bit of a break. We're going to go on to reports. 3.1, Director Services Area Report. Mr. Manuel, would you like to present?
Certainly, I do. So I'm going to start with an update on the Coordinated Care Campus because it's been a topic of discussion this past week. So just by way of updates, the city took possession of the Coordinated Care Campus September 1st, 2021, and that commenced our first phase of the project, which involved completing the necessary renovations, program development, licensing, and inspections to accommodate the urgent tenancy of the displaced Parkside project residents for November. So by November 4th, the facility had been officially licensed by the province and occupancy of those former residents was complete. We are now entering phase 2. So the second phase of the project involves a substantial renovation to pretty much all areas of the campus. Tenant improvements will be made to the commercial area, with occupancy by city staff expected in Q3 of this year. Development of the medical clinic will accommodate on-site and in-reach healthcare, including services of a primary care physician. And the residential renovations will include upgrades to fire suppression, accessibility, and energy efficiency. By way of note, a recent fire alarm and subsequent investigation has flagged that some of the historical fire separation would not meet present-day building code requirements. The building's current classification as a Group C occupancy permits grandfathering from a building code perspective. So supportive housing may be classified as either a Group C occupancy or a Group B Division 3. A change of use to a new occupancy would trigger current code requirements. So although administration has looked at alternative uses and had those assessed, it has been determined that the residents will continue to operate in alignment with the current Group C occupancy requirements, therefore not triggering the change of use. However, resident safety is a priority for administration, and as such, we are working with an architect consultant to advise the project on what reasonable improvements should be made that would not trigger a change of use. Due to the extent of the renovations projected, existing residents will be relocated to on-site interim accommodations. This is being done to permit the most timely completion of work in a manner least disruptive to the residents. The residents will continue to have access to all existing programs and services that they presently do. At this point, the projected financials still fall within the previously allocated capital and operating budgets. And recruitment of the Coordinated Care Campus Advisory Committee is recommended to proceed this month. That's the update I have in regard to the Coordinated Care Campus. I know this is a topic that may have some discussion, so I can continue with the rest of the update after questions, or we can do it now.
Might as well continue your report.
Certainly. So with the rest of the service area, Community Social Development held the Passionate Heart Virtual Award Ceremony February 14th, and the successful event had 100 people in attendance. The Women of Influence virtual event will be held on March 8th at 11 a.m. The hotel isolation program funded by the province of Alberta will conclude on March 31st of this month. And the province has lifted social distancing requirements at shelters, which is going to have us return back to regular capacities. In enforcement services, recruitment has concluded for a new manager, and we look forward to introducing the successful candidate at a future meeting. In GPREP, a virtual emergency coordination center has been developed, and the project will allow individuals to work collaboratively while being in separate locations. So this will be an asset for us in the case of future health-related incidents, or if we have geographical limitations, we will have an opportunity to more effectively manage the emergencies with a variety of physical or virtual options. In the fire department, they're completing annual testing and inspection of their breathing apparatus and masks during the month of March, and currently undertaking some promotional processes. And at the RCMP detachment, they report the municipal drug unit with the assistance of the crime reduction unit executed search warrants in the city of Grande Prairie in regard to a drug trafficking investigation. That search yielded approximately 2.16 kilograms of cocaine, 195 oxycodone pills, and 60 alprazolam pills. They also seized a loaded 9mm handgun and $10,000 cash. An individual from the city of Edmonton has been charged and remanded into custody as a result of the investigation. So good work by the team in regard to that. And a reminder that tomorrow night, a virtual town hall is scheduled at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. using Zoom. The online forum is open to residents who live within the city of Grande Prairie to provide an opportunity to engage the Grande Prairie RCMP and enforcement services to proactively discuss policing within the city. That's all.
Thank you very much. The floor is open. Questions? Wow. Mr. Manuel, you must have done a great report. Oh, Mr. Laners, go ahead.
Yeah, on the community care campus, have you got any rough ideas from talking to your construction folks in the city how long this the drywalling will take, or the fire code stuff will take, assuming you get your Group C occupancy?
Yeah, that's one of the things that our consultant that we've engaged is assisting us with, is just the preparation. We will have to go to RFP for design and construction. So realistically, minimum 3, potentially up to 6-month component. But that's for the completion of the entire project, not necessarily the piece that would impact the existing residents. I don't have a clear timeline for that specific component right now.
I'm just curious. I'm not sure what the city protocols are for procurement, but are there ways around when you've got a quasi-emergency, we'll call it, for lack of a better word, to expedite that process or use trusted or regular vendors?
So one of the benefits that exists with procurement on this project right now is procurement's actually managed through the general contractor. So it's not subject to the same provisions that the municipal procurement regularly is.
So just a question here as well. Our priority is the living quarters, and secondly is the office space, correct?
So work is occurring concurrently.
Yep.
So one's not delaying the other, per se.
Okay, no, I just wanted the clarification for the people that are watching. Thank you. Any other questions? I see none. Thank you very much for your report, and we'll move on to item 3.2, the Coordinated Care Campus Advisory Committee, and the subject today is the terms of reference. Ms. Sutherland. She's connecting, and here we go. Thank you.
Hello.
Good day. Welcome. Sorry for the delay today.
That's okay. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So it's a good segue into this report regarding the Coordinated Care Campus's terms of reference. So as we all know, the Coordinated Care Campus is a unique project that combines office space, programming space for city departments, social service organizations, medical space, and community supportive housing. So due to the complexity and the scope of this project, there needs to be a mechanism that allows for positive engagement, communication, information sharing, and feedback with neighbors in our community. So to support this need, Council has directed administration to develop an advisory committee. So administration has attached a draft terms of reference and application for committee to review and provide feedback on. And as we know, the benefit of creating a terms of reference provides a committee with clear and common understanding of the scope, objectives, and operational process of the committee and board. The proposed structure of this committee, we had consulted based on feedback received from consultations with community and other partners. And the proposed membership will be formed from volunteers and existing staff positions, so there will be minimal financial impact. And in conclusion, the purpose of this Coordinated Care Campus Advisory Committee is to really provide that link between the Coordinated Care Campus and the community. It is our hope that the community will provide advice and feedback through this committee on matters relating to the Coordinated Care Campus and allow us to really progress and develop this important project in terms of successfully integrating our residents in the community, as well as a successful project for the community overall. And with that, I'm open to any questions.
Any questions from this committee? Councillor Thiessen?
Thank you very much, Chair O'Toole, and thank you for this report, Ms. Sutherland. I like the work largely. I just need to understand the makeup of the committee here. So looking at the terms of reference, the 7 are public members. There's 4 community members and business owners, or business owners, I guess. Would those all be local to the area, like Northridge, Royal Oaks, and the business district? Or are they just general throughout the community?
Sutherland?
Through the chair, thank you for the question. I think it's ideal to have not only membership from around in the neighborhood, but also general in the community. I think part of from administration's point of view is to have a committee that when we're talking about sharing feedback and information with the community overall, it's important to have reflective of the community overall.
So thank you for that. I guess my question is does it need to be specified that certain members should be from that area within our terms of reference in order to ensure that we are pulling the principles of being a good neighbor and steward to the area and allowing public feedback from the affected businesses and residents? Should we be specific in our terms of reference for those members on our committee? I guess that's a question for council to consider. I don't expect an answer from you. Sorry, I was just prosing. Thanks, Ms. Sutherland.
Anybody else have any questions? Mayor Clayton?
Thanks, Chair O'Toole. Ms. Sutherland, the only comment I have is in regards to provide feedback in the ongoing evaluation of planning for the Coordinated Care Campus and its program. What is the intent in regards to how often the feedback will be, and what process will that be delivered through? Will it be a director's report, a director's update report? Where will we see that information, and how often?
Through the chair, thank you for the question. I think it would be a good route to take as we continue to look at quarterly reporting for the CCC to committee and council, that we include the updates from the advisory committee and any relevant information regarding the evaluation or any kind of activities that come out or comments out of the committee.
Okay, so I think that could be noted in this, but if you're comfortable with it not being noted, that's fine. But I agree that quarterly would be a sort of anytime there's a meeting, I would expect that there's a following update.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I see none. Thank you very much for your report to council. We do have some business to take care of, and that is the recommendation is the committee recommend council adopt the present terms of reference in support of the Coordinated Care Campus Advisory Committee. So looking, Mr. Bressie.
Great, thank you, Chair O'Toole. Just a question on process. There's an amendment I'd like to move that we make to these terms of reference before sending them to council. Would you like me to make a motion to amend now, or somebody move that we adopt them and then make the amendment? Just when would you like an amending motion to be made?
We can bring that up to council. My opinion. make the motion what's here today, and then we can amend it at council where we get everybody involved.
I think I'd like to make an amending motion today, if I may. But
Well, I'm glad you asked me.
well, but I'm asking, would you like me to make a motion to amend now, or would you like me to wait till there's a motion on the floor to send this recommendation to council?
There's no motion on the floor yet.
I will make a motion, if I may, Chair O'Toole, because I'm curious. I'm always curious to see what Councillor Bresty has for amendments up his sleeve or in his back pocket somewhere. So I'll move that committee recommend that council adopt the presented terms of reference in support of the Coordinated Care Campus Advisory Committee. Period.
Great. And then I would move that committee adopt the recommended terms of reference to include an additional member on the committee who is a member of City Council. And just to speak to this, I think that this is a very important, high interest project to us. I think that it would be well worth our time to have one of us who are at that meeting who can be a direct link between this advisory board and council. For me, I think that especially to begin, maybe we don't permanently need a council member on this committee if this committee still exists in a couple of years. But I think right now I'd be a lot more comfortable having a direct link to councillors hearing from the appointed community members.
Okay. Motion's in order. Any questions? Ms. Black.
Councillor Bressi, do you see a member of council replacing one of the current 9 suggested positions or in addition? Because now we're developing a committee that I already felt was quite large, and the more people that you have on an advisory committee, the more awkward it can be. So I'm wondering if you're looking at a replacement of any of those positions.
If I may, Chair O'Toole?
Yes, please speak to this.
Yeah, for me, I'm looking at adding to it, but something I would highlight to council is, so yes, this would be making a large potential committee, but it really is just making a large potential committee. There's nothing that says that when it comes to making appointments, council actually has to fill all those spots. So I think it makes sense to leave in the terms of reference up to 4 committee members, which, yeah, with the council would be up to 10. But if council actually looks at the applications and says, hey, this committee's too big, my understanding of our procedures is we wouldn't actually have to fill all those spots. But if we get a lot of really good representatives and we want every one of them to have a voice at the table, I think it makes sense to leave at least potential for 4 community members to be on this.
Councillor Thiessen.
Thank you very much, Chair O'Toole. Thanks for the question, Councillor Blackmore. I do think there are ways that we can sort of sidestep around it. I don't imagine any members of our administration or maybe even the RCMP would be voting members on this committee, or at least I haven't seen that. Councillor Bressy's suggestion to add a councillor on there, I would imagine that as council, and it being an advisory committee, it might operate the similar as the Community Advisory Board on Housing and Homelessness, where we appoint a member of council, but the member of council doesn't have a vote in they're just there to help facilitate the conversation between the advisory committee and to council. But it's really the advisory board that's making the decisions for how we proceed forward, and we're there to observe and to assist in the conversation. So I could see it working here, and honestly, I thought that's what Councillor Presley was going to throw out there, and I agree. I think it would be important to have a voice at the table to talk with businesses, residents, and to see what kind of ideas are going on there. So if things do start going sideways, at least council is aware of it, like in the moment, rather than a week or 2 later.
Councillor Bosch.
Thank you, Chair O'Toole. Just a comment, if you're worried about the size, maybe the same member that sits on the Advisory Board for Housing and Homelessness can also be the city representative or city council, being the same person.
All right. Mayor Clayton.
Thanks. Question for Ms. Sutherland. Was there a preference or a reason that you didn't initially suggest a council member for this committee?
Through the chair, I think in the original preparation for the membership, It was more looking at administration being able to develop those relationships and work amongst the neighborhood and the community to facilitate this this committee. But we're certainly open to feedback from council if they so choose to amend the membership.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of your suggestion, Councillor Bressie. I just don't know if it's necessary. I feel that that council member on that committee will continually be the go-to for the community and the area. However, we will put together a well-structured committee, and I just feel that it's taking away the opportunity for that committee to really bring back full information when it's going to be the councillor that everybody calls from that committee and the councillor that's updating council. And I just don't know if it's like really what we intended with the full committee. So, thanks.
Councillor Thiessen.
Yeah, my apologies. I just I don't would like to speak against other people, but my experience with the Community Advisory Board on Housing and Homelessness, as the council member sitting on that board, is typically the committee, the advisory board, works through administration, and they don't tap me unless they're bringing something forward to council, such as the Indigenous Liaison Advisor position, which they, required me to help present that to council. But for all other motions and all intents and purposes, the advisory board acts as that for our community, and I feel like it would be the same role in this capacity as well.
See no other questions. I'm not going to support the amendment. I feel that the people that we've got listed on there are going to do their job and do it well because we're going to appoint them. And I think that having a counselor on there would just cause some headaches amongst the continuity of the whole operation. So that's my reason, but there is a motion on the floor. Can we have a vote? Okay, that was defeated. With that, we'll go back to the original motion and we'll call that up. And that passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We will move on. I have no correspondence to share with you, no other business, no bylaw or policy review, but we do have an outstanding items list, and can we review that, please?
Certainly. So all items on the outstanding items list remain on track. 2 of them will be coming off next week.
All right, thank you. Can I have that, Mr. Bressie?
Thank you, Chair O'Toole. Got to make a motion that I know can pass, so I will move that we accept the outstanding items list.
I object. Hey, I just got to give you that little bit of a point in the ribs. Okay, all in favor? And with that, it carries unanimously, and also this meeting is now adjourned.
And just for those who are watching, we'll be back at 1 p.m. Thank you.